All right, everyone. A very interesting start to the month. A great day for profits, quite honestly. As I'm sure everyone's noticed, 300% on Microsoft this morning. We're at 73% on HIMS here into the close as well. SMR made a nice comeback for us. Hood overall made a comeback. I did try to step lightly into some weeklies. We did also, before I talk about that, we'll talk about this IBM position here. This is a fantastic failed breakdown where, you kind of lose this support here from the pre-market support. And then if we come to the 10-minute here, we set this beautiful seller exhaustion candle that flipped from red to green. That became my entry to look for that failed breakdown continuation, and we made a nice 50% as we got the continuation through the breakout. Could have actually snagged a bit more from this, although it did end up rolling over into the close, which I thought was interesting. This now becomes a major key level moving forward. Tomorrow if we get a nice move over this key level, that could be a setup for a nice continuation play. The misplay this morning that had an identical setup to IBM, but really wasn't on my radar, was Oracle. I decided not to chase this one because it felt like too much FOMO, although we did get a solid continuation throughout the day. I mean, even look at the way that they held this RVOL. Is very interesting. Only a slight reset into the close, so this could be a setup for a nice continuation. But similar playbook here, where you get this failed breakdown on the shorter time frame charts here. You see this major seller exhaustion that then gets a full recovery. So you could take this one as you see the exhaustion candle finish, or you can actually take this one over the pre-market high for a continuation. I ended up catching this around 243 before it was on my radar. Although we are in Irene and we saw a nice recovery there today. We also had a few tips on Microsoft as we tried to see if we could break over this trend line here today. We did end up getting a break this morning, but we did see a bit of a turnover. Now, one of the things I still like about this is it's undeniable how good this chart looks. And on the 65-minute here, we only pulled back to the most bullish EMA support. So I was willing to swing that one in tomorrow to see if we could get a continuation. Tomorrow could be a quick stop on this, but so far it still looks like we're in a gap position. I know on the daily we're still oversold. However, that's not as much of a concern to me when we have the daily and weekly confluence here. That's actually what we like to see, is that we're holding well above our EMAs. But it's important that we only see shallow pullbacks if we want to maintain the I don't want to say oversized, but large exposure there. Meta was an interesting one. I took a small call position on Meta, a weekly position. We have a nice flip from the daily here as we pull back to the support. And this is an interesting one because we actually do have some decent confluence on the shorter time frames, but we are showing weakness on the 2-day and the weekly. I was willing to let this one breathe a bit more because, one, the call premium is actually holding up extremely well, and I did keep my sizing relatively small. And I think it's interesting how dramatically oversold we are here. Even on the 65-minute, if we come to the 4-hour, we are dramatically oversold on this position. So I'm willing to hold this one, wait until a day 2 to see if there's some sort of reversal. Because I just want to see how a real bounce behaves here, and the premiums holding up kind of tell me that they're not looking to send this thing back to the lows quite yet. It is a bummer to see that this structure did get a large denial, but let's see if we can actually hold this area of accumulation, or if we're just going to rug right through it. The stop, even if there is no bounce, hard stop would be the 593. Hood is the next position to talk about. I do really like the way Hood's behaving here. It got a little bit concerning this morning as we broke through the wedge, but with the way that it closed into the bullish EMA, it's above the wedge breakout. We've maintained strong signals on the daily here with strong improvement from the weekly. This might be a mid-June type of mover. It might make us be a little patient, but I was willing to try a small weekly position here. Just in general, any of the positions I took today, I really wasn't willing to come in with large size just due to the overall just lack of convictions that I was seeing from the market, honestly. You know, the names like Oracle that did get solid moves were kind of few and far between today. I did also set up a position on Etsy. I really like how this is setting up on longer time frames. Has a really nice like cup and handle structure to it. I'd actually even be willing to say that this looks more like an inverted head and shoulders here. Either way, no matter how you wanna slice it, this looks like it's headed for a major breakout. The other thing here is we have an extremely rare, like we see a 3-month improving, but we also see that our monthly is actually giving the buy signal as well, and we have a really nice eBay deal. So even though this is slightly overbought, I'm willing to kind of step into this one with some small size, as the daily kind of tells us that we have a good setup for a continuation for a real trend that turns into a breakout trend here. So that one might want to be one that I added to as we get further confirmations. Another play that has my attention right now would be Enphase. Enphase, I went ahead and bought the dip here as we pull back to the bullish EMA. This one's a bummer because we actually had call positions, but we took our profits. If you remember, you could see it in the Swing Trade channel. We played this original breakout. I believe it was actually this breakout that we entered into, and then kind of missed that pullback here. So this time I was being extra vigilant on this name because this still looks to me like a continuation of a 5-wave pattern. And I think we could easily see like something like 90 or higher come in for this name. Remember, over 77 is actually an acceleration. There's a quick gap fill to 84. I mean, there's actually multiple gap fills on the way up from there. The thing I also really like this is we're actually about to get a monthly buy signal on Enphase. And there's a few stocks like that with the weekly just now flipping. This is actually a super rare. We don't call it the golden trigger because it is so rare. But when it happens, especially on more established names like this company's been around now for quite some time, those could turn into some very desirable setups. So I was even arguing with myself today. I decided to give it another day, but I am very likely to add this into the long term and buy up some shares. We also need to talk about USR. There was quite an annoying technology issue over at Schwab, which made it hard to fill orders. And in the chaos of that, I think I kind of mismanaged this position. The good part is with the pullback here into the close, it looks like we might be able to get an opportunity to play this tomorrow. But it was a really nice trend line breakout today on strong relative volume here for this name. With the weirdness of the brokerages this morning, I think I made a lot less than I should have. We didn't take any losses here. All wins, profits on the day. But this is a good one to review because it's a sneaky one. They could be sneaky like this where you get this solid. Honestly, with the market selling off at the open, it's another case of like open market opens with some exhaustion and then immediately fires to the key level. Nice consolidation here at the key level, which then creates this wedge where price is tightening and coin like that. Then you get this relief rally, even into the close with the way that we pull back right to this, we pull back and defend into this key breakout level is a great sign for further continuation higher. So it's something that should be on the radar tomorrow. The other position that I went for today was Palantir. This one ended up being a loser. I wanted to get out sooner than I was able to because of the brokerage, and then it ended up going for a very odd recovery. So I would lace this one as it's hard to call it noise when you are clearly breaking out. If we can go to the bigger picture here, you can see a better vision of what's happened here. But you have this clear trend line here that we've broken out and then accelerated over. But today with the gap up, we gave up the entire move. And then we do have this point of exhaustion that appeared. I tried the dip here. And then when we broke the new lows, I was wanting to cut. I ended up losing 32% instead of 10%. Because of the brokerage issues, they ended up paying me that money back, and I hope the same occurred for anyone else then, which really doesn't matter because I came in very small in this position. But with the pullback here, kind of into the pre-market support that we started the day off, it kind of makes me want to see if we come back and test this 156 level again before I attempt this. It's not necessarily a bad setup. I think it just might be a symptom of this name is typically harder for me to trade. I don't know. I feel like Palantir always wants to move when I don't expect it to. And then when I expect a continuation, it just does the opposite. I don't know if it's because it's like one of those big retail names. Tesla's kind of the same way, but I've been trading Tesla for so long. I feel like I have a better grips on it, which, by the way, this selling into the SpaceX IPO should be on everyone's radar. But I'm going to reserve further comments on that for a YouTube video that I'll be making this week. But yeah, if this were Microsoft or something and I saw something that pulled back to the prior day's highs and then got such a big reaction off of that, I would be a bit more excited about it. So maybe I just have personal bias from finding this name to be a bit more difficult than most to manage. But I would kind of want to see if I can get another test of that position. Looks like a solid break over 165, though, would be also decent confirmation here. It looks like it's a pretty significant key level. So I'll go ahead and set an alert for that, and that'd probably be the moment where I would start to do what I would make another attempt. The reason, even though I find this difficult, that I'm trying to take a position here is because we do have, again, on longer time frames, this kind of golden setup. So, this is, key trend level breakout continuation with momentum confirmations on longer time frames. This is the same exact setup that gave us the 300% on Microsoft, that gave us the solid returns on HIMS. That's given so I mean, this is pretty much on the beginning of the year. This is how we hit energy, how we hit silver, how this is one of the best swing trade setups from our playbooks. So save it to memory, and that's all I got for today, guys. So I'll catch you later in the morning. You got any questions, let me know. Overall, very solid day of profits, even though there really wasn't much to do off of the open. We were just well positioned for the gap up. So yeah, I mean, it's honestly a favorable scenario. So we caught the nice Microsoft continuation. I think there's more here, and I definitely think there's more to be had from IBM as well. Just considering, like, if we compare IBM to, like if you look at IBM here, and then we look at Dell, and we look at Intel, these are the names that Trump said buy more. That makes me think that this is quite a bit left in the tank. So that's all I got. God bless. See you guys in the morning.